Scratches in the basement. After me and my family got settled into our new house, it didn't take long for things to go from great to downright terrifying. I remember the first night things got bad. We lived there for about 3 months of peace until one stormy night. I woke up at 3 in the morning and thought I heard something coming from under my bed. I hesitated at first, but I forced myself to look. There was nothing there, and the noise then stopped. I laid back down and tried to go back to sleep when I heard this faint, scratching noise. I tried to ignore it, but it seemed the more I tried, the louder it got. I slowly sat up and looked towards the floor when I noticed the sound wasn't coming from under the bed, but from the vent near my bed, which led down to the basement. I hopped off the bed and sat near the vent on my floor and listened. At that point, I actually thought the scratching noise was coming from inside the vent and not down in the basement. Then it stopped, and I was relieved. Then I heard a whispering, and I couldn't make out what was being said, but then I heard a shh. And all at once, a gust of air hit me square in the face, causing me to jump back in fright. Then all sound stopped, and I got up and went back to bed. My heart started pounding in my chest. I closed my eyes, and after about 10 seconds or so, I heard a low, growling laugh coming from the vent, so I turned and covered my head with the pillow. The next morning I told my parents, and they looked concerned, but assured me that what happened at that other house is still there, and maybe because of that I was having very realistic nightmares. And I was comforted thinking that was the case. Over the next few days, I would wake up thinking I heard sounds coming from the basement, but tried to ignore them. But it seemed the more I tried to ignore it, the louder it got. That was until one night, I woke up to the bed shaking. I jumped up and couldn't move. It was at that moment I knew it was not a nightmare. This was really happening. Those light scratches became a loud scraping, then changed to loud bangs. I went to cry out to the rest of my family, but no noise came out of my mouth. Then about 2 minutes later, the loud bangs started to fade away, and my courage returned, and I jumped off the bed and ran into my parents' room. Again they comforted me and put me back into my room, but I was too scared to sleep. The next day, I was home sitting in the living room, and my mom was putting laundry away in the bedroom upstairs. I was watching a TV show when all of a sudden the television shut off on its own, and I heard a slow creaking sound. I turned my head and saw the basement door was opening. I got up and called for my mom, and she said she would be right down. I walked over to the door and stared into the darkness of the basement, and a chill ran down my spine. I put my hand on the door and was about to shut it when I heard a shuffling sound coming from the shadows downstairs. Then all at once I heard an echoed whisper say, "Come down here and play with me." I slammed the door shut and ran to my mom in tears. Like before, my parents sat me down and said that because of what we went through with Andy, that I was hearing things. This time I was not comforted. I felt scared to be in my room at night. The next night, my mother woke up to a sound of grinding noise. She tried to wake my father, but he didn't wake up. She looked at the time and saw it was 2:15 in the morning. She got up and walked downstairs into the kitchen, and the sound wasn't coming from there. She followed the noise to the basement door. She opened it up, and the noise faded away to nothing. She couldn't move. She just stared into the darkness. She turned to face her fear and went downstairs and pulled the string light in the basement, and the basement lit up. She scanned the entire room, and it was dead silent. At the other end of the basement was a doorway that went into the laundry room. She looked over there and heard the scraping noise coming from that dark room. She backed up towards the stairs, and a black shadowy mass came into her view. She backed into the stairs and fell down. All at once, the black mass charged at her, She got to her feet and ran up the stairs and into the living room. She turned to shut the door and saw the mask coming up the stairs. She managed to slam the door shut and stared at it. She caught her breath and went to go back upstairs to tell my father. And when she did, she heard scratches on the door. The next day, she told me that she believed me and told me what happened, and now never wanted to go into the laundry room alone ever again. So my parents decided to go into the basement together during the day. They went into the basement and started to look around for anything that would explain what was going on, but couldn't find a thing. No noise was going on at all. Being a curious child, I went downstairs and started looking around with them. They told me to be careful. After a few minutes, I got bored and just sat down. My dad wandered into the laundry room and looked all around and found nothing. They gave up and called me to go upstairs. They noticed that I was sitting on something and asked me what it was. I told them I found it under the stairs. It looked like a box, but it was covered in a white sheet. They took off the sheet and revealed it was a small trunk. My father tried to open it, but it had a lock on it. They brought it upstairs, and my father tried to open it in every way possible, but couldn't get it open. Even the locksmith in our town had trouble with the lock. A few nights later, I woke up at 12:30 in the morning and heard a knocking noise coming from the basement. I climbed off the bed and went over to the vent. This time I brought a flashlight with me, and I shined it down the vent and saw something there. I squinted my eyes, but still couldn't see. I don't remember how, but I got the vent open, and there was a string tied to a screw on the side of the vent. I grabbed it and started to pull. Then I noticed that it sounded a lot like the light scraping that woke me up that one night. Finally, after pulling, a key came up at the end of the string. As I took the key off the string, the banging from downstairs got louder. I went downstairs and in the living room. Then I noticed the banging was coming from the trunk. Then it dawned on me, the key that I was holding went to that trunk. I walked over to it and opened it. I should have never opened that trunk. Thank you all for listening. Please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe. And please tell all your friends. I'm having a lot of fun doing this, and I want to get the word out. So until next time, scare you guys soon.